All right, well, so let's move from D.C. back into the heart of Florida and into the Senate. We have a new senator, Senator Young, former House member from the Tampa Bay area, Republican, arguably conservative, and yet she's promoting a bill that seems probably not in concert with a lot of those conservative tenants.
Well, she is going to have a press conference this week and going to announce that she's going to propose a ban on fracking in Florida. As you probably recall, over the last couple sessions, fracking has been a very controversial issue. It's the House particularly has moved forward with bills that were described as being to regulate fracking. And to put a regulatory framework on it so that if it occurs in Florida,
which it does not currently.
It does not currently. One thing that people don't think a lot about, though, is there has been oil drilling in Florida for decades. I mean, it's relatively limited, but there's some down around Collier County. Also up in the Panhandle, area J in the Panhandle has drilling. So there has been drilling. It's not been fracking. But this bill that has moved forward in the House the past couple of years, again, was described as being put a regulatory framework around it to make sure that if it does happen in the future, that it's done in a appropriate manner. Now, the opponents of that, including almost all the environmental groups in the state, probably all the environmental groups, have argued that that was
it opens the door.
It opens the door. It's a camel's nose under the tent.
Right.
And they fought that bill tooth and nail, and they've been able to defeat it in the Senate the past couple of years. Now, Dana Young, as you indicated, she's a newly elected senator. She was the House Republican leader over the past couple sessions. She is going to have this press conference to announce a ban on fracking, as we understand it at least, flat out ban.
Yeah.
So it is sort of interesting. I think there's some political ramifications. I think fracking became an issue in some of these swing legislative campaigns over this past year. There's a lot of vocal opposition to fracking, and in swing districts it could be an important issue. So
yeah, and let's talk about that. I mean, you've got you had several Republican senators that ended up winning, whether it was due to the uniqueness of this last presidential election or the campaign play that was there. But they were very tight in districts that were not expected to be as tight as they were. So and then with redistricting, changed the shape and composure of some of these Senate districts. And Senator Young, finds herself in one of those districts that is virtually evenly split, or arguably, I think they even have a higher Democrat voter base in that district possibly.
She won by a fairly comfortable margin, a relatively comfortable margin, but that race was very closely watched. You're right, the demographics in Tampa and Hillsborough County have moved around and the new district, that was a newly drawn district. So that was it was a big money race. So, there's her race. Fracking also became an issue, which I thought was sort of odd, but in one way, in the race between Keith Perry and Rod Smith for a Senate seat in the Gainesville area and then some of the rural areas around there. Keith Perry was really getting attacked. He's a Republican. He was really getting attacked for his support in the House for this fracking regulation bill over the past couple of years. Now, Perry, again, he won fairly comfortably in the end, but it kind of gave an indication that Democrats and environmentalists are coming after people on the fracking issue. I think it's something that regular rank and file voters can identify with very easily because it's controversial in a lot of parts of the country. And the reality is that it isn't going on in Florida, and they can, attack and say, we don't want this in Florida.
Right.
Interesting, I was driving through Calhoun County out here in the Panhandle recently and saw a no fracking sign because there's been some discussion about fracking in that area. Right. So I think it's an issue that voters can grab onto, and it may not be a Democratic-Republican issue.
Right. Well, it should be interesting to see how that bill moves within the Senate and to see if there's a House companion. So we'll stay tuned.
Yeah, I think that,
bill.
it's going to be a hard sell to pass any fracking bill,
Right.
I think, on either side.
Right. All right, well, we'll stay tuned. All right, so outside of the chambers on both sides, we're looking at the political play for 2018 already.
Just because 2016 is over now, right?
Right. It's time to raise money for the next campaign, and that's how the game works. So who's been out there raising the most money or has been the most visible for a potential run?
Well, everybody thinks that Governor Scott, I shouldn't say everybody, most people around here think that Governor Scott is going to run for the U.S. Senate in 2018. Most people think that Adam Putnam is going to run for governor in 2018. So it's been interesting to see that they have continued right along raising money. We had a story the other day about Governor Scott raised his Let's Get to Work political committee, which has been very important to his political career, raised $435,000 in the first 9 days of January. And he also threw his committee through a gala in Washington as part of the inauguration. And similarly, Agriculture Commissioner Putnam raised more than $400,000 in December for a political committee that he is closely aligned with, and also had gotten a $250,000 check in early January from Florida Power and Light. So you're right. These guys are starting to line up these committees have evolved over the years to become bigger and bigger players in a lot of campaigns, and they can take big chunks of money. So I think we see money flowing into these committees at this point.
Has anyone announced yet? Any of those candidates?
Well, they haven't announced yet. No, that's why. That's why I said everybody expects them to run, but they haven't. They keep playing footsie with it, but no one has.
Some would argue a strategy. But,
well, yeah, sure. But in the next few coming months, we're going to start to see some statewide candidates emerge for 2018. A lot of them that are going to run are going to need to really get moving because they are going to have to raise a lot more money. It's easier for Adam Putnam and Rick Scott to raise money than it is for somebody who may be coming out of the legislature and wanting to run for a statewide office.
Statewide name ID already.
And they really need to get moving to line things up. So I think we're going to start seeing that. Maybe after the legislative session, but I think we're going to start seeing a lot more signs of that here in the next few months.
Well, we'll stay tuned both on the political fundraising front and on legislative activities. We know we got a big committee week, and as we approach the legislative session, the committee weeks get more and more chock full of finally bills coming out, discussions. So we'll wait to see next week what happens in this coming week, and then what we have to look forward to. So, great. Jim, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
That's all the time we have for today's Capitol Dateline Online. For more news, views, and opinions, check us out on our Facebook page or go to our website at capitoldateline.online.com. For now, that's all we have from the Florida Cable Telecommunications Association. Have a great day.